is about?
Nah, no way.
Not.
I am so not ready for that.
Really? You're not?
Aha! He is proposing, isn't he?
Yes.
We were really trying to keep it a surprise.
I'm so sorry.
You should be.
It's fine. It's totally fine. I don't like surprises. Remember, this is good. I can get a manicure, be Instagram ready.
Wait, does that mean you're saying yes?
I love him so much. Yeah, he is my future. Who else could it be?
Oh, that's just such a special clip right there. That's from Jane the Virgin. Oh, man. And from Jane the Virgin, we have our good friend. She didn't even know. She's done so much work. When we were playing this clip, she couldn't even call, where is this coming from? I swear she was like, what is this?
She was looking around the room.
Just all of a sudden, I heard my voice. I was like, why is my voice on? Like, what's going on? I was like, I'm here, but I'm in there.
Yeah, she looked at her publicist. Which project was this? I can't recall. I've done so many. In case you forget, DB, run down a litany of things that she's done.
Let me guess. I love science fiction and horror. And she did Annihilation. She did Philly Brown. And one of my favorites, because she started with one of my favorites, Kurt Russell, Mark Wahlberg. She did Deepwater Horizon.
Look at you.
She's in her last season of Jane the Virgin coming up.
Yes.
She's doing Carmen Sandiego right now, which is on Netflix.
Hey.
Yeah. And our good friend Anthony Mackie made her cry when he gave her props about how good that role was.
And he also just sang it next to me. I was like, what's happening? And I love Anthony Mackie. I just think he is a stellar actor. He's a Miss Bala. Working with him was a dream. And to have him saying that, I was like, this is being recorded.
Yeah.
I get to keep this forever.
Yeah.
So Anthony already promised me he'd be in my live action Carmen Sandiego. I'm putting that on the air, so he has no choice but to not back out.
Okay.
I also saw her.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I saw you walking down the street in Manhattan not too long ago. You were with a dog and another woman, like around 1920th Street.
No, that wasn't me.
Damn, it was a good thing I didn't say anything. I would have been like, yo! And she's like, no, it's not me.
Damn, DB, that was a hell of a detail.
I know.
Who are you stalking?
I do have a dog, too, so I was like, but I haven't been here in New York for a while.
You haven't been in a while.
Yeah, like a year at least. Or whenever we did press last time, maybe in like October.
That was a long time ago. You look awesome.
Yeah.
Let me see the ring.
Oh,
yes.
Oh,
Chapters. Let's go.
I do it, right? I'm getting there. I'm 34. My abuela's like, you're never getting married. I was like, my God. She's like, well, I'll die before it happens. I was like,
Oh,
jeez.
damn. What kind of pressure is
I
that?
know, all the pressure. So I was like, you got to wrap it up. I got to get to this.
Would you, I'm curious, would you propose to your fiance?
I thought I was going to do that.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be that like I had dreamt that. Like,
That you were going to propose to
yeah,
your
I was always I always felt like, you know what? I would do that. I thought
As
that
the
that
woman,
was,
you
yeah,
would do that.
Yeah, like I would totally do that. And with Joe, I was like, I think I would propose to him. And he was like, please let me.
Right.
Please let me. He was like, I love that. I get that. But please let me. Like, can I have that? And I was like, all right, you have that. Yeah, you take that.
You would have gotten down on bended knee.
I don't know if I would have done that, though. You know what I'm saying?
Like, are we on our knees enough?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, hello. That's how you get engaged. Hello. Wow.
I would have changed the tradition,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying?
Remix it.
Yeah, remix it up, change it up.
Well,
But
look, I'm curious if it's women out there that actually propose to their husband.
my co-star Brett Dyer, his girlfriend proposed to him.
Did she?
Yeah, the guy who plays Michael. He's engaged, and she proposed to him.
He said he had to say I do.
Yeah, he did.
See,
He said yes.
I don't want to be
That's
I want to.
weird.
I would
But
feel
you
weird
don't say
saying
I do. You say yes.
You say yes?
Yeah, you say yes,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I do is at the
I do
ceremony.
is at the ceremony.
Oh, my bad.
Sway spit right to the ceremony, the honeymoon.
Does she put the ring on the guy, too?
She did.
Wow.
That's, yeah.
Supposedly, my mother proposed to my dad.
Love
he has
it.
a different story, but that's what she likes to stick to.
I like it.
Wow. Yeah, no, I got it. For that, I would have to get down on bended knee.
Both of y'all just back
We
down there.
both just
Yeah.
we both just like this.
I'm gonna be honest. When my man proposed to me and he went on one knee, I went down with him. I was like, yes, 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 yes. I was like, okay, right down in your eye level. You see me? Yes.
We're partners. We're equals.
Yeah.
We're equals.
Yes.
Damn, but he did great with that ring, though.
Oh, he was very.
Yeah, congratulations
very
on that.
Thank you.
Gina Rodriguez has joined us. Miss Bala.
Miss Bala.
Miss Bala. You say it different than me.
Yes.
You saw that? I said Miss Bala. She said Miss Bala. This is this is it based on a true story, or we know stories like this that happen all the time?
No, it was definitely based
Okay.
on true events to begin with. So it was a Mexican film back in like 2011.
Okay.
That was on the Oscar shortlist. And as Hollywood does, they take Oscar shortlists and they usually remake them, reimagine, reboot them. And in this case, they wanted to reimagine this film. And it's a beautiful film. But to contextualize it for today, to make the woman have a little bit more agency, a little bit more agenda. And it was really important to me when I got the script. And it is vastly different. It's a take on it, if you will. But these stories are consistently happening everywhere in the world, you know?
Okay, so for those listening, what are these stories about?
Well, I mean, so this specific story, though, Miss Bala, is a journey through this girl's experience from ordinary to extraordinary. That's very much the specific experience. Like, you see this girl that is not really happy where she is in her life, in her space. You see that she's lost her family. She has some family in Tijuana, and she's she's doing that thing that I think a lot of Latinx and a lot of really, in all honesty, lots of immigrants do, the not American enough, not Latino enough, not American enough, not Jewish enough, not American enough, not this, you know, like the dual identity and straddling both of those cultures. And I did that growing up for sure, because I grew up in Chicago, Puerto Rican, and I went to an all-white school, and I was in one of them, and then I went home to Puerto Rico, and they were like, you're a gringa, you live up in the States. So it was always that like dual identity and trying to see where I fit in and like who I was, like what was I enough of, you know? And
how did you deal with that? How did you?
I think I'm still dealing with that, to be honest.
All right.
Like I'm still trying to understand, you know, because the Latinx community is so complex. And we're so varied, and there's Spanish speaking and English speaking at first, and both, and Spanglish, and some people grew up in those countries, and some grew up here, and so there's just, it's such a multitude. It's so difficult to like have one experience be everyone's. But I do know, and I can imagine that a lot of first, second, third generation are feeling that assimilation, because as we all know here in America, to assimilate is to hopefully not be targeted. Right? And then also celebrate who you are and your culture and where you come from. It's like, that's very important, I think, to us as human beings. So this girl is kind of going through that experience, and she goes back to Tijuana where she lived. You find out she lived there for a little while because of her father. And her girlfriend gets into this horrendous experience where she is taken, sex trafficking, and I go on this journey to save her and save myself. And sex trafficking is prominent everywhere. That's not the main focus of our film. It's very much an action movie. It's very much like a roller coaster action crime, and we made it for everyone. It's not political, it's not like culturally specific either. It's very much like we're gonna go and experience like a Jason Bourne, a fugitive, you know, but you actually see a woman, which I know both of you feel this way, where when some shit goes down, you protect yourself.
Right.
When something happens, you get out of the situation. When a guy is making you uncomfortable, you use either your feminine charms to push him away or figure it out, or your cleverness or your intellect. And I got to play a character that at every move, just like the fugitive, I was figuring out how to get out of my circumstance. And I do that as a woman constantly. And my mom did that, and my sisters do that, and the women around me do that. So that was just my consistent conversation, was like, if this were a man, what would he do? So making sure that she was always having an agenda. She always had agency. She always had a reason to save herself, because don't we all as human beings?
Absolutely.
And it's just to have that in an action space was really fun. Not to mention we made it with 95% Latinx in front of and behind the camera. That never happens.
That's big. That's big. That's big right there.
Never happens.
Yeah, was that, who chose to do that?
Right?
I'm like, who? Was that your
like, how
did that happen?
So like for me in my production company, I have a production company, Kanye Productions. That is a mandatory on ours, and not just Latinx. I'm talking about everything. I want gender parity on all my productions. I want women, 50% women as the head of departments, because as somebody who works in television, and you walk in the room and you're the only one, you're like, all right, this is I can't be the only one.
That's
this
a problem with
that's
this.
A problem.
That's problematic.
And I ask myself every time I'm in a room, I'm like, okay, so who are we missing that has a perspective that we all need to hear about and know about? And so when Sony had approached me, they had said this was what they were, well, you know, you're always weary when you do like a reimagining or remake, as I was with Carmen Sandiego as well. You just want to make sure that you are making it for the context of today, because our culture shifts always, and we grow and we evolve, and so I want to make sure that that's what happens when you're remaking a project, right? Because there's no way we're living in the same space, although sadly history does repeat itself way too often. But nonetheless, we grow and we evolve as civilized human beings, right? So when they told me that they were going to do it with 95% Latinx in front of behind the camera, because I was like, who are you going to cast for my Lino? You know? And Ismael Cordova, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of him. He is unbelievable.
Yeah, ladies love him too.
I mean, everybody loves him.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Is right. He's a dream. He's a phenomenal actor.
Y'all have great chemistry too together on screen.
Love each other.
Like,
we love
I'm
each other.
looking at you, look at him, and you look really frightened. Like the chemistry is really great between y'all.
And I was very safe. I felt very safe with
Yeah.
him, and that was really important doing a movie of this caliber, right? Of this intimacy, and at the same time very vulnerable, very scary. But when they told me that they were going to do that, I was like, for real? And like, Sony's going to do this, and Sony's going to put that money behind that? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, all right, I have to do this, because I don't know when I'm going to have this opportunity again. I was 32 at the time. I'm 34 now. We did it 2 summers ago, and I hadn't had that opportunity up to that point.
Wow.
And I haven't had that opportunity since that point.
Wow.
So like that just goes to say and I've done movies in the summers. Like I've done movies since then, and it is yet to be that experience. It doesn't always have to be that experience, but the point is that it is a different experience. It makes a person feel different when they're not the only person in the room.
Of course.
It makes you feel different when you're working with your community. And when I say community, it was Venezuelan, Colombian, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Mexican, Argentinian. You were hearing different dialects, different slang, different music like loves, different food, mango and mofongo, and just like it was just the multitude that is. And that was really special. It was very different. It's a good feeling, you know?
It's a good film. Miss Bala is in theaters February 1st. Gina Rodriguez.
But I play Gloria. He ain't wrong. I play Gloria.
She plays Gloria Meyer in the movie. I apologize, Gloria.
So, Gina, with now these conversations, we've heard you speak out on behalf of equality for women's rights, racially. Have you been able to make sense with the backlash that you got last year when, you made a comment, and this was speaking about intersectional feminism, and how black actresses tend to make more than Asian actresses, and Asian actresses tend to make more than Latina actresses. And a lot of black women felt like the comparison wasn't fair and that you were coming against us.
So I never said actresses.
Okay.
I wasn't speaking about my industry. I was speaking about, I always find it difficult to talk about equal pay as a woman who makes a substantial amount of money. As somebody who came from poverty to now the amount of money that I get paid, it doesn't feel right that I'm the one talking about it, because I'm just so damn grateful.
Yeah.
To then be on a panel with women that I respect and admire, and us talk about a subject that I find very difficult to talk about. What I was saying was that when we talk about equal pay, we have to talk about intersectionality, because we all must rise.
Yeah.
And so the backlash was devastating, to say the least, because
Take your time. Take your time with it, Gina.
Because this is also my first. Okay, I got this.
Got it. Take your time with it.
Because the black community was the only community I looked towards. Growing up, we didn't have many Latino shows, and the black community made me feel like I was seen. So to get anti-black is saying that I'm anti-family. My father is dark-skinned. He's Afro-Latino. And my cousins are, and Puerto Ricans are African, Taino, and Spaniard, and it's in my blood. So that was really devastating to me. And I know my heart. I know what I meant. And I really wish that we weren't living in a culture where we're clickbait, because I've never said anything controversial about anybody. And far would I ever, because if anything, the Black community is my community. As Latinos, we have Black Latinos. Like, that is what we are. I am not, right? So I think when I speak about Latino advocacy, people believe I mean only people my skin color. And little do they know that I'm very aware of what my culture is. And the opportunities I create and who I put in those spaces are both the Latino and the Black community. So it was a really dark time for me because it made me get away from social media because my mental health is much more important to me, especially when I know my intention. The last thing I want to do is put two underrepresented groups against each other. Our unification is what is our rise. Our unification is what's going to allow both of our communities to continue to flourish. I support, and I would hope the reverse would happen. And so when that happened, I was, oh man, that was really fucking hard. Because what do you say? Sorry for cheating when you didn't cheat? How do you talk to a bunch of people that all they do is read Gina Rodriguez's controversial comments about Black actresses? When? What? Ever? Why? Never. In a million years. So that shit was real difficult. But I have to like keep my head up and know my heart and know what I do and know who I am. And I hope over time that those that I had offended, that had seen it as a comparison of oppression, which is devastating because we should not compare that. That is not something to compare. It's sadly a fact that Latinas in all industries make less money. It's a fact, and that sucks. But I wasn't saying that just them. Like, it's interesting because the white community, nor did the Asian community get mad at me. And I found that very interesting that like the one community that I felt like I related to the most were the most upset with me. That was just devastating. How do you talk to so many people and let them know that like, oh, you are so far from the truth. Like that is so far from my heart. That is so far from like who I am. And if you go and see the interview, I was not comparing anyone. And I never said actresses because we should not even be talking about actresses. We make too much damn money. We are not the group, you know. And I know a lot of women in my industry fight for equity, pay equity amongst their male counterparts, but not against one another. We should be helping one another make more with each other, like Jessica Chastain and Octavia Spencer, and like joining forces, not fighting one another. And so I felt their pain, and I will always apologize sincerely from the bottom of my heart if I cause pain on anyone, because that is not who I am. But that felt really far left field for me. That felt real out of context, and I just didn't know how to control that. Something that just felt like, you can't seriously watch that interview and think that I'm putting us against each other. You can't.
Right.
You know, and I do know that as an advocate for Latinos and Latinas, it's also a feeling of taking space, right? But there's space for all of us. There's space for all of us. And I think the mentality that there isn't is what is a detriment to our growth. So for a while, I felt that way. I think women feel that way, period. Forget about ethnicity. There's only one woman in the room. We all got to fight for that one chair.
Right.
Because for a while, there was only one woman in the room. And there was that crab in the barrel mentality where it was just like, got to get in that room. Which means like, you got to get out the way because I got to get in that room.
That's real.
But now there is room for all of us because we can create that room.
Exactly.
And with my production company, that's all I do is try to create that room, not limit it. And definitely not limited to just my community that I associated with. That also includes Black Latinos. But because I am not, I feel like people forget that I advocate for all Latinos, not just the reflection of myself. Like, and that's the only way to do that is as a producer, and that's what I'm doing. So
if I have hurt you, I am sorry and I will always be sorry. But you have to know that until you know my heart, there's no way that we can live off clickbait, you guys. Social media, read, like look into somebody, who they are, because right now we're living in a culture that is very, very terrifying. You make one misstep or saying something that's out of context, and all of a sudden anything you've ever done is deleted. Any work you've done is deleted.
Kevin Hart.
That's very difficult.
Kevin Hart just came up here last week, said the exact same thing that you're saying now, and that people are just prone towards negativity. Not the thousands of things that Gina Rodriguez has done for the community on behalf of advocacy, but just this one misinterpretation.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, you know, again, I empathize if someone feels pain, because you can't say you're not allowed to feel pain. I'm not allowed to look at these women and say, you're not allowed to feel pain.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that way. You are allowed to feel pain, and I empathize with your pain, and I'm sorry if I caused your pain, because it is the last thing I want to do.
Gina, I'm confused about it because did actresses come at you, or this is just people that you don't even know?
No, I had nothing but actresses be like, yo, I got your back. I'm so sorry.
Even black actresses?
Nothing but black actresses had come up to me and told me that they were so sorry that I was going through what I was going through, that they also didn't understand where it was coming from, or they didn't know how to control it themselves. And like, yeah, I mean, I guess my number one during that time was making sure that my girls knew that like they weren't living in this clickbait era either. They were like watching the panel and seeing what I was talking about, which is sadly a fact. So you can't get mad at me for the fact. Get mad at the fact for the fact.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the fact was just told to let us all say, when we talk about pay equity, we all got to rise together. We got to make sure we got each other's back. I need my white women allies to be like, yo, let's make sure our homegirls get up. We need our allies. We need each other. We don't need to fight each other.
Right.
And if I caused that notion, please forgive me, because that is not my intent at all.
Gina Rodriguez, thank you for sharing that with us. And I think what you said is all you have to say.
Yep.
Thank you for your honesty.
Yes.
Thank you for doing that here too. We appreciate you.
It's the first time I talked about it, because it was it's a really scary, like it's scary being a public figure, period.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're here for you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Miss Bala is in theaters February 1st. Make sure you check it out. Gina Rodriguez. We love you, Gina.
I love y'all. I love y'all so much. I love y'all so much. Thank you.
Let's get the
You at
tequila.
home.
Let's go. Pass the shot, baby.
Get a party song ready, OQ. We're about to celebrate this. Gina Rodriguez in here, standing for the folks, standing for the people. I like that, speaking her truth.
Yes.
Thank you, Gina.
I love y'all so much.
Love
Love
you
you
too.
too. We love you too. You already know.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
this next song for you. OQ dug deep in the crates.
Be some dirty shit.
It's gonna be
Don't play the Yin Yang Twins right now. We don't want to hear the whisper song right now.
Especially for you, Gina. All right,
Don't put back that ass over there.
all right, and then we got Joey McIntyre.
Yeah, he's going to be starring in the upcoming Broadway play Waitress, and you know him from New Kids on the Block. So
He's up next. He's going from
awesome.
Gina Rodriguez to New Kids on the Block.
Oh, yeah.
888-742-3345. Dedicated to Gina. Sway in the morning.
I love y'all. Oh, yes.